Hey guys, welcome to another English commentary done by Diggity. This is match 4 between Free and Savior of MSL Season 3 Round of 8. And the map is Zodiac. And again, it's similar to Loki 2, except it's a 4-person map. But by similar to Loki 2, I mean there's a decent amount of distance. I think Free can put up a good fight on this map. He can kind of go for more of the macro build, which we saw last round. He ended up winning, kind of shelling in, relying on kind of more a macro. Ended up having just an overwhelming amount of units on the ground. And Savior GGing, just realizing that, wow, I just a ton of units for Free. It was really Free's game to win. I'm surprised that Savior gave up though, because Savior still had a lot of hatcheries out. He still was producing a lot of resources. He lost a butt ton of overlords, and that I wish I had a look at his side count. He might have just lost too many overlords and basically not been able to create an army fast enough to deal with that huge force that Free was pushing up. But maybe Free was going to stay conservative and wasn't going to push up, and Free putting down that pylon at that secondary, which suggests that he's in fact again going for that early second Nexus cannon build, and we'll see how Savior, and I would expect Savior to respond like he has usually responded to that build. Unfortunately, it looks like Savior is going to do a counterclock, or is going to end up seeing Free's base last. He's going to send that first Overlord to that northern position. Actually, take it back. Looks like he saw that probe, so now he has a good idea of basically where Free's base is. So let's see if he redirects an Overlord to that location. Basically seeing that probe come along the line. Yeah, he is redirecting that Overlord to Free's base. A little unfortunate for Free. Free's going to come out with the second probe, probably plop down that forge. And that was a very early scout by Free. By the way, the match set here, and wow, I like that build. That's good. Free's basically blocking his front door with the forge and the pylon. So basically, if Savior does decide to do kind of a zergling rush, he's going to have a hard time pushing through that the forge and the pylon to get through. And my guess is we'll see Savior do what he typically does against this build and get an early spawning pool down. But then, oh no, it looks like Free's going to try some cheese here. He built that cannon behind Savior's line. Savior's going to have to bring some drones down basically to deal with that. That was really he's going to have to push basically two drones across to kill that probe quickly before it gets a cannon down. He did manage, and wow, Free again popping right back out. That was a really good micro on Savior's part. Also very good micro on Free's part, kind of pushing through and doing a decent job of harassing Free, and that's going to cause Savior to get that spawning pool down, I think with a little more urgency than he usually would. This is actually still the standard build for Savior against this early hatchery, early cannon build, going for that third hatchery. I think I already mentioned that when Savior sees this, he very often goes very quick 3 hatcheries at the 3 expansions, and he's getting that gas down very quickly. Usually, again, this is pretty standard for Savior. Gonna do basically a very fast tech and try to catch Free before he can get Corsairs out. We'll see if Free decides to go Corsairs, kind of dedicate to Corsairs here. And we'll see if Savior decides to go with Mutalisks or Hydralisks. He's done both in these prior matches. Last time, he kind of went more towards a Hydralisk type build towards the later of the game. He actually went kind of for a holistic build, and it looks like that gateway up for Free now, and he's already produced that cannon. That's interesting. That's a little different from Bisu's build because he's getting that gateway and only a single cannon down instead of doing 2 cannons. And that's a little more vulnerable, I think, but as you can see, that's good positioning though to fight against a zergling rush, because the zerglings basically have to go basically all the way around that gateway, and they're going to be getting hit by that cannon the entire time. And with that probe out, with that good scouting probe, he'll be able to see zerglings coming along the way, so he'll be able to produce a zealot, and the Overlord a little too close, getting hit a little bit by that cannon. But as you can see, Free realizes that Savior's doing his standard build. I'm curious if he's going to do his standard build. The Zealot coming down now, but Savior usually produces six Zerglings right about now. As you can see, they're coming out right now. And Savior very quickly, probably, he already has Hive Tech going, and this is where he kind of varies things. Sometimes he goes Hydralisk, sometimes he decides to go straight to Spire, and my guess is he's going to go Hydralisk simply because he's a little bit behind because of that probe harass. He had to bring a couple drones off the line. So he's not going to be able to get those Mutalisks out as quickly as he normally would. And it doesn't look, again, he doesn't have that gas down. Usually I'm used to seeing him have a little bit of gas. And another Dragoon coming down, or no, I mean Zealot coming down, but Free just trying to micro that Zealot, just allowing it to be hit. And that hatchery is at a very vulnerable position, but 2 Zerglings there to defend. And basically it looks like Savior's going to allow those last 2 Zerglings to attack off. And that was a very good read on Savior's part, realizing that that hatchery is very vulnerable, building 2 Zerglings at the position. He's just going to allow that Zergling to do a little bit of harassment until he can bring the rest of the Zerglings up to finish it off. So Free not being very successful there. It looks like Free is doing the very standard Corsair Dark Templar build, and getting a couple more cannons down. And Savior going for another hatchery, another expansion, so he's just going to try to dominate Free in the long-term macro game. And really, I think that's going to seal the game for Savior if he manages to get that hatchery up. Looks like he is going to go with Spire. He is going to try to get Mutalisks up, and we'll see. What's going to be key about this game is if Free sees that expansion to the north, because Savior's really spreading himself out. If Free discovers that expansion to the north with his Corsair or with whatever harass, he will easily be able to take it out, in my opinion, with basically with a couple Dark Templar, maybe even some Dragoons, or I should say Zealots. I keep calling them Dragoons for whatever reason. And another expansion going up, 5 hatcheries going down for Savior. Savior being very aggressive with his micro here, or with his macro, I should say, here, and those Overlords. Looks like an Overlord getting caught out of position there, and it doesn't look like those Mutalisks are up yet. Let's see if Free. It looks like Free is going to be able to take that Overlord out. Let's see if Free decides to continue pumping the Corsairs. Does get that single Overlord, and very quickly another Overlord produced. And we'll see. It looks like Scourge is actually initially coming out for Savior. As I was saying, Savior is a little bit behind because of that harass, which is why I think that Overlord died. But my question is Savior going to basically get kind of a movement upgrade? Because he's extremely spread out right now. He has those 2 hatcheries. If Free discovers either one of them, both of them are very vulnerable. Free doing a very good job of micromanaging that Corsair, and Savior is going to try to cut him off with the second Scourge. It looks like he's bringing it back to his base, and it just kind of doing a move attack back to his base. And it doesn't look like any more Corsairs have been produced. So Free's basically just going to allow the cannons to defend his base, and using the Scourges in the meantime to get kind of a scout. And actually, it looks like that probe line a little vulnerable at the moment. Looks like, no, I take it back, a lot of cannons going up, so no decent Mutalist harass for Free, or for Savior at this point. Savior now in a very dangerous position, because as you can see, that northern expansion's up, that southern expansion's up. It looks like he does have an Overlord at that expansion. He's got a couple Zerglings in that sunken colony, and very good job of Savior getting those Overlords there when he needed to. And so Free is going to be denied that basically that Dark Templar, which is really, I think, the thing that could have really hurt him there. And Free immediately realizing that he's going to be out macroed here very shortly. He needs to produce a lot of units fast, so he's very quickly moving into 4 gateways. A robotics facility going down. Honestly, I wouldn't bother with a robotics facility. You just need to produce troops quickly, buddy. And getting that sunken colony at that southern position, he's going to bring that Corsair up. And basically, this is an interesting strategy by Savior. He's going to use that sunken colony and those Overlords at the various positions to defend against the Dark Templar, and use this kind of roving band of Hydralisks, or I'm sorry, Mutalisks, to fight against the Corsairs. And in a second, he's going to have a huge force. As you can see, it looks like Free had produced Templar. He just morphs immediately into an Archon. He realizes he has to take one of these hatcheries down. He's going to push out while Savior still doesn't have a lot of units on the ground. Second sunken colony going down, and Savior has spotted it. He's going to do a little bit of harass against these Zealots as they're coming down. He's going to try to engage them out in the field, try to take that Archon down, basically. If he takes that Archon down, those Zealots are just going to be at the whim and mercy of the Mutalisks, and Free basically separating that Archon out, and doing a very good job of micromanaging. Oh, it looks like that Archon is taken out, so basically those Zealots aren't going to be able to take down all those sunken colonies, so Free now retreating. And really, I would have produced Dragoons over those Zealots. I wouldn't have gone for the robotics facility. I guess he's trying to get that robotics facility just in case Savior's going for like a lurker build, and Free trying to match. And now Free's just on the defensive. Free's just trying to play catch up. He's trying to get that Nexus down, and Savior very quickly going to the north, taking care of it. That attack didn't work, and it looks like he's going to come down with another attack. Now has that Corsair out, and he's able to attack that Overlord. And let's see. Oh wow, large force. It looks like he has managed to catch Savior a little off guard here. A lot of forces out, and again, Savior's going to try to focus on that Archon. Takes that Archon out. those 2 Scourges taking care of that Corsair. And let's see if these Zealots are able to take out this Hatcher in the meantime. They've managed to take out all the Sun Colonies. They're going to have to retreat just because of the ton of Mutalisks that Savior has. It looks like Savior's just going to dedicate to Mutalisks, let the Mutalisks do the work for him. And I think Free dedicated to Zealots just because they're fast units, because you can move them very quickly across, and Dragoon's a little slower to build. But dedicating to Zealots has left him very vulnerable, and he's just going to try to push these Zealots in and just wasting them, in my opinion, right there. And